Welcome to the Truckers Network radio show on tncradio.live, where we offer the news, weather, traffic, sports, information, and entertainment our commercial drivers want to hear. I'm your host, Shelley Johnson. Speaking of entertainment, who doesn't love good music? Especially country music that's played by Randy Carson.
The sun didn't shine. That all changed one spring night. I met you and finally saw the light. Things are right now that you're mine. Now my world's a better place to be, 'cause you fill my every need. Your kiss is the finest tasting wine. Life is good now that you're mine. I never knew I could feel so free, living in peace, in perfect harmony. Say you'll never, ever leave, 'cause life is good when you're with me. Now my life's a better life to live. I never knew I had so much to give. Your kiss is the finest tasting wine. Life is good now that you're mine. Now my world's a better place to be, 'cause you fill my every need. Promise you'll never, ever leave, 'cause life is good when you're with me.
Country singer-songwriter Randy Carson has been around country music since he was born in Texas. His dad, Little Joe Carson, was a music legend on Capitol and Liberty Records in the 1960s. Joe worked with Willie Nelson, Elvis, Glenn Campbell, Buck Owens, Buddy Holly, and many others. His songs were performed by music legends George Jones and Wanda Jackson. Randy has followed in his dad's footsteps with a music prowess all his own. Randy's been playing music since he was 6, when he taught himself the guitar his dad played every night. He formed his first band at the age of 11, and then as a teenager, he opened for Crystal Gayle. The rest is history. Randy's been making waves in the country music scene with the Randy Carson Band for years. He recently performed a duet with Willie Nelson on his latest album. I have Randy with me today to talk about his amazing journey. Welcome, Randy.
Oh, thanks, Shelley. That was too sweet. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and it's well-deserved. You've had quite the music background, and you're continuing in your father's footsteps and continuing his legacy. I imagine he'd be so proud. He was taken from the world way too soon after a tragic auto accident, I understand, at the age of 27. And I read that the last song your dad performed before he died was called The Last Song I'm Ever Gonna Sing.
That is a true story. And I just talked to his guitar player who reached out to me the other day, and he brought it up. I didn't. He said, I just want you to know, and that story about the last song is true. I performed it with him, and just a few minutes later he got in that accident.
Wow. What a tragedy, because I mean, he was so talented, and losing your dad at such an early age had to have put you in search of emulating him in some way. You really were a prodigy. Did music provide the comfort you needed, you think? Was that part of the motivation?
I think so. For me, music was a part of my personality even when I was a toddler. And that's what I wanted to do. And it just was kind of an automatic thing. But later it became kind of my lifesaver, my life preserver, so to speak. Things weren't always, they weren't too easy after my dad died. I was an infant. I didn't know him,
Mm.
but I knew the repercussions, and I got to hear him on record and being interviewed and things like that from television shows that we've got the audio on, and so I felt like I knew him. But I most definitely, music was my life preserver.
I find it interesting you taught yourself guitar.
Well, my sister uh, helped me read the book because I was 6 years old, I think, and so I didn't have the reading skills probably I needed, and she was 2 or 3 years older than me, and she would tell me what it was trying to tell me to do, the instructions, and I could see from the charts there where to put my fingers, and so that's how I learned with the help of my sister on my
So
daddy's guitar.
that is so wonderful. Now, when you were playing, did you try to sound a lot like your dad? Was he the music champion, if you will, that pushed you forward in terms of finding your style?
You know, um, that is absolutely the truth, but it really, and my mom and everyone in the family, they're always going to kind of compare you. They can't help but do that. Oh no, Joe wouldn't do it that way or something like that.
Right.
But he was a tenor and he sang real high.
Hmm.
And we're all born with natural voices. And I'm a low baritone. And amazingly enough, I didn't get his high voice. Whatever happened between him and my mom, I came out with a lower voice. And so trying to emulate him was hard because I didn't have the actual notes in my body. I wasn't born with it because I had a similar range as far as low to high, but it was just further down the keyboard, so to speak. So it was an uphill battle until I lowered my keys, and then of course I still hear his influence even in the lower keys of when I sing, of course.
Hmm. So, who were some of your other music idols, if you will? What kind of influences did you have? Did you listen to lots of country, or did you also listen to rock and roll?
Yeah, I think well-rounded musicians like all kinds of music,
Hmm.
and I love classic rock, and I loved Elvis, and Elvis was a big influence. Um, and I didn't even realize how much until he felt that this big storm with this new movie he's come out. I kind of renewed my interest in Elvis, but I was always interested in Elvis. But Merle Haggard, George Jones, and George Strait, and all those guys were. I remember the first George Strait album when I was in high school, and it just like it floored me because it was really country. It was traditional country, and it moved me, and so it definitely inspired me. George Strait and the George Jones and all those guys, and there's so many that
Sure.
I'm gonna miss, but Conway Twitty,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
guys like that. Conway was one of my favorites. So a lot of people really.
And then you formed a band, what, at the age of 11? That's quite ambitious. What does your mom say about that? I mean, were they 100% behind it, everybody in your family, or?
Well, here's what the deal was on that. Um, I moved into a different elementary school, and the music teacher was a professional musician in town.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, she was a piano player in some country bands, even though she was teaching music at the school. And so what
Hmm.
she did is she had her own little group of kids that she would pick out and had a little side band for the made up of students. And so when I got there, they already had the band. but they had singers, and she played piano, and they had a drummer, and that they had a guitar player, but he wasn't as into it as I was, and but they someone told them about me. Told we anyway. She heard, and she gave me an audition, and at first she said, "Well, auditions will be next year because we've already got our band." And then she liked my playing and said, "Okay, come on, you can go ahead and join the band." And so she would take that little group, and we did television spots and all kinds of stuff.
What a great experience. And to have a teacher like that, typically music
Yeah,
teachers, especially in elementary school, they don't necessarily perform professionally. So
right.
this really gives you a great insight and great exposure. It's super helpful to be able to do that at an early age. These are fascinating stories, Randy, and it's a pleasure to talk to you. We do have to go to break, though. Got to pay some bills. You're listening to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.live. I'm Shelley Johnson, and I'm talking with Randy Carson. Stay tuned for more coming up. The trucking industry keeps America running thanks to the 3.36 million professional truck drivers who deliver everyday goods to 80% of American communities who rely on trucking for that last mile. The industry represents a diverse group with nearly half of drivers at 42% as minorities. Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, educates the public on the essentiality of trucking by telling the story of trucking and its positive impact on our economy, communities, and lives. Learn how you can join the industry movement by visiting truckingmovesamerica.com.
It's a Friday night, and I'm feeling free. I got a brown-eyed Texas cutie riding gun with me, and we'll find a band to play a Josh Abbott tune and waltz all night under the Texas moon. Hey, tonight let's be red dirt crazy. Let's pop the top to a Whiskey Myers song. We'll dance all night. Nobody's leaving early. Hey, tonight let's be red dirt crazy. After the band's last set, baby comes alive, and so we head for the truck. And we go for a drive down a lonely dirt road. We'll turn Robert Earl up and get red dirt crazy under the stars above. Hey, tonight let's be red dirt crazy. Let's pop the top to a turnpike song. We'll dance all night. Nobody's leaving early. Hey, tonight let's be red dirt crazy. Hey, tonight let's be red dirt crazy. Let's pop the top to a Randy Rogers song. We'll dance all night. Nobody's leaving early. Hey, now let's be red dirt crazy. Hey, now let's be red dirt crazy.
Welcome back to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.live. I'm Shelley Johnson, and I'm speaking with country singer-songwriter Randy Carson, who's following in his famous father's footsteps. Little Joe Carson was his dad, a legend in country music. That song you were listening to is one of Randy's new songs. It's called Red Dirt Crazy. In our previous segment, we were talking about how he got started so early, being on stage at 11. Tremendous experience. It was a way to cut his teeth early, if you will, in performance, which is so essential. Randy, being on stage so early would probably help you get over the stage fright,
Oh,
too.
I don't know if you ever get over the stage fright, but it depends.
Yeah.
But it helped. It definitely helped. Um, yeah, as long as I'm playing, if I'm not singing, I don't think I have as much stage fright. I don't have that much anymore. It just depends on the situation. That is true. You get used to certain things, and whereas when it's the first time you do something, it's always like, woo, woo, this is real. My hair's sticking up on my arms.
Yes, I've had those experiences when I performed. And then, of course, you have to be right on your game if something happens. Um, I actually was performing, I was accompanying a choir. This is actually kind of a funny story. Playing some music for the choir on the piano. Somebody had not locked down the wheels on that piano. And it was kind of an aggressive song the way I had to play. And I had somebody who was turning the sheet music for me. And all of a sudden, the piano starts to move away from me. And I'm having to move the piano bench with it.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was on wheels apparently.
Uh-huh. And they hadn't locked down the wheels. Yes, yes.
Oh, that was I know the type of piano. It was probably 46 inches tall. It was a
Yeah,
studio.
yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that, knowing pianos and everything. I worked on pianos and you played them and sold them. We both sold them. That's
Uh-huh.
interesting.
Yeah. So that
That's
was
funny.
I was able to hold it together for a while until the piano just
Oh
finally
man,
just got way too far away from me.
that is crazy. Is that documented by film or anything?
I'm not sure, but I know that the audience was very amused.
They would have to be.
Uh-huh.
That's so funny. That's that. Well, the my first stage experience, my brother entered me into a talent contest before I went into first grade when I was 6 years old, and so I got out there and sang "A Boy Named Sue" by Johnny Cash with
Oh,
my
great.
daddy's
Yeah.
big guitar, and
Hmm.
I really didn't know the correct chords. And I looked out. Since we're talking about stage fright, I got halfway through, and I looked out at everybody and got scared and said, "I forgot the rest," and walked off.
Now that's funny. Little kids can get away with that so easily, though. Well, forgot the music. Gotta go. Um, but you just have to keep getting out there and doing it again. That's kind of the way
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
game's all about. Now, I find it interesting. You started your band, and by the age of what, 14 or 15, you opened for Crystal Gale. Now, that had to have been just awesome because she was the sweetheart of country music at the time.
Yeah, yeah, she was that was early in her career too. So yeah, that was really exciting. Um, the band I was in is actually wasn't my band. It was some older people, and they let me play with them, so I got to be a part of that band. It wasn't my band. I was part of it, but it was the local guy that was kind of a big deal. Um, you know how you've always got one name that's bigger than everybody else in your local area.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It was that band. It was kind of the end band, and everybody knew who they were. So it was pretty cool.
That would be, I would think you would have been over the moon.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I was. Don't get me wrong. I was. And when I think back to that time, I was totally juiced for that. I was totally juiced.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
my.
they rolled us. It was actually a rodeo. They rolled us out on a truck bed,
Okay.
and then they rode Crystal out right behind us.
That's neat. So there were
So
some
that
a
was
truck
cool in
bed. So was
itself.
that was it a pickup or was it an actual semi?
No, it was I'm not sure. It was a tractor, and it
Okay.
was a
Okay.
stage that they pulled out.
Okay.
I said truck, but it was a tractor, and they pulled the stage out in the middle of the rodeo, and they
Okay.
did the same for Crystal. You know,
Neat.
yeah.
Your music style goes back to the roots of country music, which so many people are seeking today. Is that been pretty much what your band has always performed? That style?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
I love all kinds of music. Last night, believe it or not, I had a gig, and I asked the guys if they wanted to play this song by Prince, and just to throw everybody off, you know. and let them know. They're like, what's that? You know?
Hmm.
So we actually did Kiss by Prince last night.
Ooh, very cool.
But a country version. I've
Oh,
got my own version to it, Shelley.
oh, I bet it's really neat.
I
How
love all
cool is
kinds of
that?
music. I love rhythm and blues. I
Yeah.
think that's why I like Elvis so much. He
Oh,
was a
sure.
rhythm and blues guy.
He really was. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that makes you a better musician because you can pull from so many different genres and you can kind of switch hit, if you will, which
Mm,
is really necessary.
yeah, I think so. I think you should be versatile. And
Mhm.
I think people get tired of hearing the same thing, no matter how good a certain genre of music is or how much we're dedicated to it or whatever. Um, People like variety. And I like other guys to sing in the band. And guys said, "You sure you want me to sing?" I said, "Of course I want you to sing." Give the people that they're not used to that because a lot of guys don't share the stage, but it's like, no, people get tired of the same old thing.
Sure
Let's
they do.
let them hear something else.
And a lot of the music today sounds the same. It's
Oh
ve-
yeah.
it sounds very formulaic, if you will, which
Yes.
you just yearn for the days when there was new stuff and it was coming from the soul of the musicians, you know?
Yeah, everything is pretty much, encouraged by the dollar. Whatever they
Yeah,
put out is because the song before it was big and it was similar to that. So let's do another one like that so we can see if we can make as much money as we did on the last one.
sure. Well, I think that the influence from your dad, he played with some of the greats. Oh my goodness, that had to have made a difference and maybe an influence in your music. Willie Nelson, from what I understand, had a great respect for your father. As a matter of fact, he sang on your new song, Who'll Buy My Memories, and it's being really well received and climbing the charts. That is so cool that Willie performed with you.
Yeah, that was so special. Yeah, he originally wrote the songs and gave them to my dad, two songs. I Got to Get Drunk
Okay.
and Who About My Memories.
Okay.
And so that was really awesome when he said he wanted to sing with me.
That's just amazing. Let's give a listen to you and Willie Nelson singing Who Will Buy My Memories?
A past that's sprinkled with the blues, a few old dreams I can't use. Oh, by my memories of things that used to be.
There were the smiles before the tears, and with a smile, some better years go by. My memories of things that used to be.
When I remember how things were,
My memories all lead to her. I'd like to start my life anew, but memories
just make me blue. A cottage small, just built for two.
a garden wall with violets blue. Oh, by my memory of things that used to be.
When I remember how things were,
My memories all lead to her.
I'd like to start my life anew, but memories just make me blue. A cottage small, just built for two.
A garden wall with violets blue. Oh, by my things that used to be. Oh, my memories of things that used to be.
You know, Randy, it really is incredible how Willie Nelson agreed to record that song with you. Tell us about that story. This is actually a Willie Nelson song, and he
Correct.
asked you to perform on it. Okay.
Yeah, well, he in the 60s, he gave him and my dad were on the same record label, and they'd become close friends, and they were performing together. And actually, Willie would sing with my dad's band because Willie didn't have a band at the time. That was when they were starting out. But Willie had big hits with other people. He'd written, "Crazy" for Patsy Cline, so he was a big time songwriter, and he'd had hits himself, but wasn't as popular as he is today. But so he gave those songs to my dad, and
Hmm.
him and my dad started working together a lot, performing together, using the same band. My dad would bring him up for a little bit during his show. Um, and that experience is talked about in An Epic Life. They interview one of my dad's musicians that was there when it was happening, when they got Willie up. So anyway, people would just say when I was recording, because I started recording, and people would say, "Man, that knew Willie said, Willie would want to be a part of this. I know he would if you just let him know." And
Hmm.
I didn't for a long time. It just took me a while because I really didn't want to bug Willie. I feel like I don't want to be one of those guys that bugs him, and even I don't want to take advantage of our relationship because. But anyway, I decided to send him a note and just let him know I was recording. If he wanted to put a liner note or sing a line on one of the songs he wrote for my dad, just if not, no worries. He wanted to say hi, how are you doing, and all that other kind of stuff. And a day and a half later, I heard from him, and his manager called me and said, Willie wants to do a duet with you. He wants to do a full duet, and
Wow.
he ended up playing guitar on it too. And that's Willie's signature, is his guitar with his vocals.
Sure. Wow.
So that was great.
What's he like to work with?
Well, to be honest, I can only tell you from a little bit of a distance here because it was during the pandemic, and I had a sinus infection, so I didn't want to go to the studio because it was and get Willie sick.
Right.
So I sent him a note, but I know so much about Willie. This is from what I gathered was one time through the Who About My Memories. He just knocked it out the first time. And that's kind of how Willie is. And a lot of his phrasing that's so unique.
Hmm.
That's why he'll leave it. If he gets feel like a good take, instead of going over and over, he just leaves it, you
Sure.
know. And so he sang along, I think about 3 times with me. He had my voice in his headphones for about 3 takes, and then he said, "Okay, pull it out." And he nailed it. And so I think it took a few more tries on I Gotta Get Drunk, but that's why we put out Who'll Buy My Memories, because it was just a natural thing. It just happened real easy for him.
It's a fabulous song, too.
Yeah, it's a good song. I'm proud of it. I really am. And I appreciate you letting me showcase it on your show, Shelley. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
absolutely. I know our listeners are going to love it. I can't wait to hear some more stories and play more of your music, Randy, but we do have to go to break here. You're listening to the Truckers Network radio show on tncradio.live. Stay tuned for more coming up. TNCradio.live is proud to carry the Steve Summers Overnight Drive Show. TNCradio.live is dedicated to commercial drivers. We offer the news, traffic, and weather you need, and the entertainment, sports, talk, music, and celebrity interviews you want to hear 24/7. We have original shows and trucker podcasts that feature some of your favorites, like Ice Road Alex Debogorski and America's Truckin' Sweetheart Marcia Campbell. TNCradio.live is convenient and designed for professional drivers. The best part is we're free, and you can listen anywhere you are on the road. With just one tap, you can tune into Steve Summers and us right on your phone. Simply download our app by going to app.tncradio.live. That's app.tncradio.live. Welcome back to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCradio.live. I'm your host, Shelley Johnson. I'm speaking with country singer-songwriter Randy Carson, who's the son of Little Joe Carson, who is a music legend. And so is Randy. He's got some great music and a new album with some great songs. We've been talking about them in our previous segment. You have another song called Red Dirt Crazy. I love the title. It's so very Texas. What's that about?
You know, my brother inspired me to write that song because he listens to a lot of Red Dirt, and I do too. But he just, I guess, had it on his mind. I was singing a song called Honky Tonk Crazy, and he said, "Why don't you write a song called Red Dirt Crazy?" And I said, "You know what? That's not a bad idea." So I just wrote it about the Texas artist and the Texas way of life of going out and listening to a band, live music, and a couple going out and dancing and coming home and being loving on each other at the end of the night and getting red dirt crazy at the end of the night. You know, it's kind of it's not, I don't think it's just the Texas way of life. I think it's the way of life around a lot of the United States, but it does talk about Texas in it for sure, and some Texas artists, but just, music moving us.
Sure. Now, isn't Red Dirt actually a music genre all its own in Texas?
Oh yeah. Red Dirt stands basically for the Red River, which separates Texas and Oklahoma, and so it's really Texas and Oklahoma music.
Okay.
Kind of what Red Dirt stands for, although they're. I don't want to set the exact definition because someone may say, "Well, that's not correct." But Red Dirt, the Red River, has red dirt, and the Red River separates Oklahoma and Texas. That much is for sure. And Oklahoma, Texas artist is pretty much what makes up Red Dirt music.
How would you describe your music? Would you say it's kind of close to that, or is it more traditional country?
Well, I tend to think that Red Dirt is a lot of traditional, but I would say mine is probably a little more roots
Mm-hmm.
than Red Dirt.
Okay.
But I have a piece of that in me, no doubt. But um, I don't know. I feel like it's probably its own thing. It's hard for me to describe because I've never really tried to copy anybody, and it just kind of comes out the way it is. I when someone asks me who I sound like, I don't know. I really don't. I can't say I ever tried to emulate anybody.
You're yourself. That's refreshing, rather than trying to emulate and be a cookie cutter, if you will. There's a lot of the cookie cutter stuff out there.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think so. Yeah, that's true, Shelley. That's true. But yeah, that's for sure. Um, I I uh, I never listen to an artist and go, I'm going to sing like that. And I've heard licks that artists do and go, wow, that's cool. I might try a lick here and there or learn something because we learn something for sure from all these artists. We
Sure.
learn there's so much talent out there and we learn from everybody
Mm-hmm.
but it just comes out pretty much me when I sing. I don't think there's uh, if anything, it would be my dad. Even though he was a tenor and I'm a baritone, if I hear anything at all, it would just be the overwhelming influence of my dad.
Which is great. He'd be proud of you for that. No doubt
Well,
about it. You wrote a song for your dad, too. Now that's pretty cool.
Daddy's song. That is a song I wrote about my dad, and because this is kind of the story kind of connects my dad with me and Willie. Yeah, and it just tells his story. He was a natural little kid singing, and he was like leading the church choir when he was 4 years old, and ended up just being so, I don't know, he was singing on the radio when he was probably 8 or 9 years old.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, his dad, which my granny, divorced his dad when he was 9 years old because he had a little bit of a gambling, drinking problem, and he would take my dad when he was 8 or 9 years old around to the nightclubs and said, I'll bet you how much ever you want to bet my son can hear you sing a song one time and sing it back to you note for note,
Oh,
word for
wow.
word, just one time.
That's
And they would
amazing.
make a lot of bets. And this is in this, I never knew this kind of stuff, but they put that in a booklet that they did back in 2002 when they were in liner notes.
Mhm.
And yeah, and they said far as they knew, they never lost a bet. But my my granny didn't like my granddad doing that. She would take him to radio stations after she split up with my granddad and things like that. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, my anyway, he started out just real young, you know.
Oh,
And
that's so cool.
in the song, it starts out from the time that he was just a kid. He could well a country tune. He was born to be a singer, and everybody knew one day
Okay.
he would hit it big. It would all come in time, but the road he took up to the top would be no easy climb.
Wow.
And then it goes, he finally sang that one big song that would make him great, one smash on the country charts, and he was on his way. But late one night, driving home, he lost control of his car, along with all the dreams he had of being a country star.
I love
So
it.
that part about he finally sang that one big song that would make him great. Well,
Uh-huh.
that was that one big song was the song Willie wrote for him. I got to get drunk and I sure do dread it. And Who'll Buy My Memories was the flip side to that.
Okay.
And so that was, yeah, it was a big song in the 60s. So that's what kind of got his career started. But so anyway, that song kind of encompasses everything.
Well, let's give it a listen. It's a great tribute to your father. Daddy's Song by Randy Carson.
From the time that he was just a kid, he could wail a country tune. He was born to be a singer, and everybody knew. One day he would hit it big, it would all come in time. But the road he took to the top would be no easy climb. He finally sang that one big song that would make him great. One smash on the country charts, and he was on his way. But late one night, driving home, he lost control of his car, along with all the dreams he had of being a country star. He never saw his picture on the album that came out. All his dreams died that night, and the papers wrote about how he hit the big time and how he hit the bridge. Left behind the songs he sang, a wife and 3 small kids. Generation later, I'm doing the same old thing. Each night I drive a long hard road just to pick and sing. And if I hit the big time for all the world to see, I'm gonna give him credit for the gift he gave to me. And Daddy, I knew that someday I'd have to carry on and take up where you once left off and sing these country songs. And even though it's been so long, you're still on my mind. But I know we'll sing together in another place in time. Daddy, I know we'll sing together in another place in time. Oh, Daddy, you'll never be a star.
That's a compelling song. No doubt about it. You have another release called Life is Good. In addition to the great guitar licks, it has a sweet sound of a fiddle in there too. I love fiddles.
Cool.
What inspired that song?
Oh my goodness, that I wrote that song about my wife. I was single a long time and kind of scared. And so for sure I was motivated to write her a song that man, everything just seems much better now that she's in my life. So now that she's around, life is good. It might have been okay before, but now it's really good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm playing fiddle on it. That's me on fiddle.
Oh, very cool. How many instruments do you play?
I'm not sure on I Gotta Get Drunk. I played everything but drums
Wow.
and keyboard. I
Okay.
played fiddle, lead guitar, electric lead guitar, rhythm guitar, bass, and pedal steel on that instrument. So my main instruments are guitar and fiddle, but I can play pedal steel and bass and mandolin. So
Wow.
a little and some piano.
That's amazing. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah, my dad played 9 instruments. That's what the one of the newspaper articles said anyway.
Hmm.
But you know, you can't that many instruments. You can only do so much. You can't. You got to devote time to your instrument to really play it. So I
Sure.
like to clarify, you know, what someone would hire me out on. I've been hired out on pedal steel and lead guitar mainly and fiddle,
Okay.
lead guitar and fiddle, and occasionally pedal steel.
For those who aren't familiar, what is pedal still?
It's that crying sound you hear in country music. It's that crying guitar.
Okay.
It's got the a metal slide that you
Okay.
sit
Yeah.
down and it's like a console almost, but you've got pedals. And when
Yeah.
you push a pedal, it'll bring it up a whole step or a half a step, which in music it raises the note and anything in between. So that's how you get that crying sound is to maybe shake the bar a little bit and push the pedals. So it's a very unique instrument.
It looks very challenging.
Oh, it is. It is. I would to and that's why I clarify, you know, I can play pedal steel. I'm not the greatest pedal steel player, but I can play it. I don't have time to be very good at it. If you're gonna sing, you've got to devote time to singing. If you in
Sure.
writing and in you know playing fiddle and guitar, it can be overwhelming. So I've kind of if I'm not recording, I don't worry too much about pedal steel. But if I'm recording, what I can do, I can brush up on it before I record, you know.
Hmm. Now, what is the name of your new album and where do people find it?
Well, the name of it is Life is Good, and it's going to drop in February of 2023.
Okay.
And so it'll be all over. It'll be on Spotify, Amazon, and man, just all over those places. If there's a iTunes, it'll be on iTunes, and I'd have to look where else, but you should be able to find it any of those places.
Okay.
Should be able to find that.
And you also have a website.
Yes, rcbcountry.com.
Okay. RC.
rcbcountry.com, and it's a brand new website. And our Facebook is new. It's crazy, Shelley. We when I started doing this, I was kind of partners in a little bit with the band, even though my name was kind of up front.
Uh-huh.
And we wanted to change the name and to because the other guys had left the band to do their own thing when I did my own thing and it Facebook wouldn't let us. And so we ended up having to start from scratch. So we need all the followers we can get, all the help, all the friends we can get. We lost like 1,000 people. So we want people to go to our Randy Carson band Facebook and become our friends.
Absolutely. Well, I think that once people listen to these songs, they're definitely going to be a follower, a friend, and a fan. So that's good.
I hope so. And then I sent you Daddy's song.
Hmm.
And so that's a song I'm as proud of as any that Life is Good and Daddy's song, those two songs there. Of course, the Willie duet,
Sure.
but the songs I personally wrote, Life is Good and Daddy's song are special to me.
This is neat. I appreciate you being on the show. This has been terrific.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Shelley. I appreciate you having me.
And I know that our listeners are going to really love this music. So we're very honored to be able to feature it.
No, I'm honored to be on any station that does for the truckers what y'all do. I want to give a big shout out to those drivers out there, man. We appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work and please take care of yourself. Take care of yourself.
And they appreciate that salute. They really do. They need to hear that because they keep America rolling.
We talked about it. They're actually our storefront for everything we buy, everything we need and buy, food, clothes, all that stuff. They drop it off down the street from us to make it convenient for us.
That's right. Anything we have, you can say it came by truck.
It sure did. Absolutely. I know this. And we were talking about that. My uncle was a truck driver and it's a special breed of person. And
it is.
Yes. Just they're kind of like musicians. They're a special breed. They're a different breed,
I think a lot of drivers look at themselves as the last of the cowboys.
Oh, yeah. Look at Elvis. Elvis emulated truck drivers the way he wore his hair, the sideburns.
He drove truck for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, people said, why do you wear your hair like that? He said, the truck drivers, that's the way they wear their hair and their sideburns.
Yeah.
So he loved the truck drivers.
Without people even knowing it, they were looking at a commercial driver. What makes America roll? It's great.
Isn't that something?
Elvis made it front and center.
Yes,
That's great.
If anybody did, Elvis did.
He made trucking sexy. Let's say that.
Oh, yeah. He made everything sexy.
Yes, he did. Yes,
but truck driving is kind of sexy if you think about it. Actually, the steel guitar player that works with me on occasion is a truck driver. And he can't, he helps me out on occasion. And he can't guarantee a Friday because he don't know what time he's going to roll in. But he was telling me a basic truck nowadays is about $250,000 without a trailer.
Oh, yeah. It's insane how expensive rigs are now.
Yeah. I mean, they do not have it easy.
No.
And
long hours.
Long hours, expensive trucks, maintenance, all that kind of thing. Salute to the truck drivers. Salute.
And they appreciate that. Thank you so much for being on the show. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.live. I'm Shelley Johnson. I've been talking with country singer-songwriter Randy Carson. Definitely check out his music, rcbcountry.com. Stay tuned for more great entertainment and information right here on TNCRadio.live. Thank you for listening to another great interview on TNCRadio.live and the Truckers Network radio show. All of the material you hear on TNCRadio.live, on our website, our broadcasts, or our podcasts are copyrighted. There can be no distribution without the express consent of TNCRadio.live and its partners. For inquiries, write us at info@tncradio.live. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast of the Truckers Network radio show.